Hey everyone, let's talk about reading. Have you ever stopped to think about what separates a good reader from a truly great one? I can tell you right now, it's not just about reading fast. Today, we're going to break it all down by climbing something I like to call the reader's ladder. Ready to start the climb?
So let's just dive right in with the big question. What actually makes somebody a good reader? It's easy to think it's all about speed or knowing a ton of fancy words, but honestly, that's barely scratching the surface. The real story is way more interesting.
And here's the best way to picture it. Think of reading skill as a ladder. Every single rung is a different, totally essential skill. A really proficient reader? They don't just hang out on one rung. They know how to move up and down that ladder, using exactly the right skill for whatever they're reading. So let's start at the very bottom.
First up, rung 1. I call this one seeing the words. This is the ground floor, the absolute foundation of it all. Just making sense of the marks on the page.
The official term for this is perceptive reading, and really, it's all about decoding. Can your brain recognize the letters? Can you put them together to sound out words? Can you tell a period from a comma? You know, the basics. Without this rung, you can't even begin to climb higher. It is the first and most essential step.
So how can you tell if someone's got this down? It's actually pretty simple. Having someone read a text out loud is a perfect test. You can hear in real time if they're smoothly decoding the words or stumbling. It's a direct window into that foundational skill. Super basic, but you gotta have it.
Okay, let's take a step up to rung 2, finding the facts. Now this is a skill you probably use, a dozen times a day, and you don't even think about it.
This is what we call selective reading. Just think about it when you scan a menu looking for the price of a burger, or you're scrolling through an email just to find a phone number. You're not reading the whole thing, right? You're on a mission. You're hunting for one specific piece of information. That is selective reading in a nutshell.
And we test for this with tasks that are all about precision. Things like multiple choice questions are perfect because they force you to find that one correct detail hiding in the text. It's all about your ability to find that specific needle in the haystack.
All right, we're climbing. We are now halfway up the ladder. And this, my friends, is where reading starts to get really powerful. Rung 3 is all about moving beyond just finding information and starting to really engage with it.
We call this interactive reading, and it is a total game changer. This is not passive anymore. This is where you start to ask questions, to connect different ideas, to figure out the author's argument. You're interpreting, you're organizing, you're analyzing. Basically, you are having a full-on conversation with the text. So as you can imagine, measuring this gets a bit more complex. You're not just finding a fact. You might be asked to find the sentence that proves a point, or even reorder a bunch of scrambled paragraphs to show you understand how the argument is built. It's all about seeing how the puzzle pieces fit together.
And just like that, we made it to the very top of the ladder. Rung 4 is all about stepping back, taking a breath, and seeing the whole landscape. It's about understanding the entire forest, not just looking at one or two trees.
This top rung is extensive reading. This is what you're doing when you settle in with a good novel or read a long-form article. Your goal isn't to walk away remembering every single word, right? It's to understand the main plot, the big themes, the overall point. If you can finish a book and give a friend the general gist of what it was about, you're using your extensive reading skills.
So how do we test this? It's all about synthesis. Can you take a 5-page article and boil it down to a single, solid paragraph? Can you create a quick outline of its main points? That's the hallmark of a top-rung reader, someone who can see the big picture.
So there we have it. We've climbed the whole ladder. But what's the secret? What tools do expert readers actually use to jump between these rungs so easily? Well, it's not magic. It's all about having the right strategies in your toolkit.
It really comes down to this classic idea of seeing both the trees and the forest. The trees, those are the micro skills. Grammar, punctuation, what individual words mean. But the forest, that's the macro skills, the main idea, the overall structure. An expert reader isn't stuck in one or the other. They're constantly shifting their focus between both.
And to navigate all of this, they've mastered 3 key strategies. There's skimming, that's for getting the big picture forest view. Then there's scanning, that's for hunting down specific details, the trees. And then there's inferring, which is that amazing interactive skill of reading between the lines and understanding what the author isn't saying directly.
So let's just pull this all together in one quick snapshot. From the bottom up, perceptive reading is basically sounding it out. Selective is like finding a price tag. Interactive is like you're debating the author. And extensive is like telling a story's plot. 4 different rungs, 4 totally different goals.
And that brings us to the most important point of all. Being a complete, well-rounded reader isn't about being a superstar at just one of these things. It's about being flexible. It's about knowing when you need to scan for a number, when you need to skim for the main idea, and when you need to slow way down and really wrestle with the meaning of a text.
So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Now that you've seen the whole ladder, which rung do you think you spend the most time on? Are you a detail hunter, a big picture person, or somewhere in the middle? Just thinking about that is a huge first step to becoming an even more powerful reader. Thanks for climbing with me today.